I'm Christine Dunbar from SpeechModification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent training. In this lesson, we're going to look at the letter C and the sounds that letter C can make. So, of course, spelling in English is complex, and we don't have a single letter for each sound. We also don't spell the sounds the same way in each word. So you have to be able to decode the letters of the word for what sounds they have. The letter C is what we call a borrowing letter. So it most typically is going to say the k sound, like in cake, or the s sound, like in nice. So most often, the letter C is going to say k or s. And it depends on where in the word it is, and of course, which word it's in. So oftentimes at the beginning of words, letter C is going to say the k sound, like cake, or cook, etc. It's good to have a particular word in mind, and I like cake and cook because they have the C and the K, and they can help students recognize that those sounds are the same. The IPA symbol, or International Phonetic Alphabet, for the sound K is the same as the letter K, and so we can think of it as a K sound in these words. At the ends of words, when it's together with the CE, it's most likely, most often, the S sound. So this is one of the ways we spell the S sound, which again in the IPA is the letter S. Letter S can be many different sounds. So this is one of the patterns I can count on is if I see a word like nice or peace or space. Space is another good word to think of for students because they can associate, they can hear space that they begins and ends with the same sounds. And notice how in a word like nice, the letter E is silent. We can see in the IPA that it ends on this sound. So also listening for what sounds you hear at the beginning and the end of a word and ignoring letters that are not making sounds is a useful tool. When the C is together with another letter with the CH digraph, it has a different sound, the ch sound. We do sometimes call this the CH sound because it's unique to these letters. So it's in words like each, peach, or cheese at the beginning or ends of words. It should typically have this ch sound. This is an affricate sound. It starts with the tongue in the position for the T, drops down for the to the position for the SH sound, the ch sound. You can check out my videos for ch versus sh to understand these symbols and to know how to physically make those sounds. But knowing in terms of the letter C that if you see it together with an H, it's going to have that ch sound can be helpful. You can think about a word like church that has the ch at the beginning and the end is also a good example word for this particular sound. One exception that I can think of to that CH sound is the word echo. In that case, the letter CH say the k sound. Much more frequently, though, you're going to have that ch sound like in church or cheese or each. Then another example here, a word that can be helpful where we have the letter C doing both sounds is the word circle. So we have the first letter C saying the sound circle, the second letter C saying the k sound. So it's good to introduce some of these words where we have a mix of the s and the k sounds because especially if it's a word that your student is familiar with how it sounds, and then they're more likely to struggle with how to spell this word rather than how to pronounce it if they learn it from hearing it first. So it's a good example that can help a student recognize that there's an S sound and a k sound in a word like circle. Lastly, a typical pattern is if we have the C at the end of the word with no vowel sound after it, no letter E, it's going to say that K sound. For example, in topic or epic, etc. So learning from other lettered patterns, letters that go together, can help with breaking down the S and K sounds of the letter C. There are, of course, a few other exceptions. In common everyday words, separating out the S and the K words can be very useful. You can get more help for these sounds, lots of other videos for letters versus sounds, both short lessons and longer lessons on speechmodification.com and on our page, Speech Modification Seattle. Check those out for a great resource for understanding the difference between what you hear, sounds, and what you write and see, letters. Thanks very much. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com. Remember, if you want to sound like a native speaker, you can do it. speechmodification.com.